Good morning, everybody. It's Barb Katie here. It's so good to see all of you again. I'm back home in West Virginia, and it's no place like home. I had a marvelous, marvelous week with my friend Sandra in Alberta, and we had the very best time doing all kinds of wonderful things don't get to do at home. But it's also good to get back to familiar ground and sleep in your own bed and um, make your own little nest again. So thank you, Sandra, for a wonderful, wonderful visit. I hope I get to do it again soon, and I hope that maybe you and Dale get to come down and see me one of these days. That would be the icing on the cake. I would try to be as gracious to you as you certainly were to me on my visit. So, everybody, how have you been doing this weekend? I hope it's been a productive weekend for you and you've gotten out, if the weather permitted, and the fresh air, and done a variety of activities. My weekend was spent cleaning out my garage. Oh my goodness, where does all that stuff come from? When I finished yesterday evening, I looked at the pile of things on the curb, and I said to myself, Deed, I hope that the trash collectors will be kind to me and take all this. And sure enough, this morning when they came, they whisked it all away, and the driveway is now empty, and the garage looks so much better. In addition, I got in a little extra exercise by hefting and toting and pulling and pushing and all the things that are involved when you're cleaning out a space that you've sort of neglected for a while. I hope you found something that was satisfying for you. I like doing projects like that. As I was going through some of the treasures in the garage, and I'm sure you have treasures if you have a garage as well, I had to think back to many years ago, because some of these things have been sitting on a shelf for decades. Yes, decades. Some of the stuff was 20 years old that I pulled off those shelves with the dust and everything that was surrounding them. And I wondered to myself, had I known then what I know now, would I have hung on to all this stuff? Or would I have let it go and lightened my burden a long, long time ago? How often we tend to hang on to memories of the past that really aren't particularly productive anymore, or things from the past that have outlived their usefulness, or feelings and thoughts from the past that reflect in our judgments of the here and now. And I guess maybe what I would like to discuss just a tiny little bit today, because it ran through my mind a few times as I was digging through and sorting out things as I was reorganizing the space, was the importance of being non-judgmental. I know that's a really weird thing to be thinking about when you're cleaning out a space, but my mind every once in a while goes in different directions, and I just let it go because you never know where that journey is going to take you in your thought process. I think right now, maybe one of the things that made me think about that was how polarizing so many topics are today. We tend to communicate in ways with each other that sometimes cause conflicts and even damage relationships. And that's not helpful at all. When you're trying to work together for common cause and common good, to be in conflict with each other. And that led me to thinking about keeping an excellent perspective on the ways that we interact with each other, especially if the topic is contentious. And any topic right now seems to be a little bit contentious. Even the way we choose to lose our weight, even the way our doctors have said work best for us, sometimes leads to contentious comments and judgment. And that has no place in TOPS. We get our ideal target weight from our healthcare professionals. They know us, they know our health, they know our issues. They should be having conversations with us concerning those issues and how they relate to our weight loss journey. And they're the ones who can best evaluate the techniques that we choose to use in our journey to help us stay healthy and happy in the process. I've said to you many, many times before, and I truly believe it with my whole heart, that if you lose your weight but lose your health in the process, you have accomplished nothing. It is not about a number on a scale. It is about living your healthiest, most active, happiest life. That's what we're about in TOPS. When we say take off pounds sensibly, we mean consider the quality of your entire life and how best to maximize that quality throughout your life at every stage in every way. That's the reason that we use a very balanced approach in what we do, is to try to enhance and improve all aspects of our life, not just a number on a scale. I know that it's really tough sometimes to not be non-judgmental. Our brains are sort of wired to continually assess and make judgments. Is this good? Is this bad? Does this work? Does it doesn't? Does it taste good? Does it not taste good? Is it helpful? Is it not helpful? Is it right? Is it wrong? Who decides what's right, what's wrong? The mind is fast, very, very fast. Think about how sometimes you drive just 10 miles from home. Maybe you're going to your chapter meeting. Maybe it's not even 10 miles from home. And when you get there, it's like, wow, how did I get here? Was I consciously focusing on every aspect of that journey? Or were some of those things really sort of familiar, and my assessments and my judgments of where I go, where I turn, do I stop, do I slow down, were they sort of automatic? And we tend to do that a lot of times. We knee-jerk responses. We put things on autopilot very often. And we make judgments without even thinking about the process of making the judgment. That's good and that's bad. Because sometimes knowledge you have stored in your brain to help you process information quickly really is not necessarily applicable to a particular situation. You're drawing conclusions without getting sufficient information. And that can get us in trouble, especially when dealing with people. People are much more complex than how to get from here to price cutter for the sale that's on today. And that's what I mean when I say be careful and try to be non-judgmental. There's some techniques that are helpful in this area, and I'm going to share them with you today, maybe to talk about or think about or reflect on with each other, maybe in your chapter, if you're now able to have meetings and have open discussions with each other. The first thing that helps in not leaping to a judgment is to be curious. Ask questions. Don't just assume that you know answers. Ask the questions and then take a breath, clear your mind, and listen to the responses of the individuals to whom you ask the questions. That's the way they can inform you of how their viewpoint is. It may be different, there may be information of which you were unaware, but you need, secondly, to remind yourself always that others' views are as legitimate as yours. It was a real shock to me when I had children and they got to be teenagers that my children really didn't think I knew everything. When they were little, they thought I was the smartest person in the world. But as they grew up, they began to challenge the things that I said, which is very healthy because that's the way they learn to grow and respectfully become adults who don't just accept everything because somebody says so. They learn how to ask questions, gather information, and form different opinions or come to the same conclusion as you, perhaps, in a calm, respectful, kind way. And that's really important in everything we do, but it's also critically important in our weight loss journey. Every once in a while, I'll see in some of our change of thought, we leap to judgment. You shouldn't eat that. You shouldn't eat that. You should eat this. You should eat that. You should be walking more. You should be walking less. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. You should do this. You should do that. Well, who am I to say what is going to work best for you in your weight loss journey? Better, I should ask you questions and find out why that seems to be helping you more, and be curious about what you have to relate to me. I just might learn something new as I go through this that will help me in my own journey if I don't close my mind to the knowledge that you might be able to share. Remembering always that it is the relationship with our physical care providers that is going to be of utmost importance for each of us as we go through this process. The next thing is to give the person speaking the benefit of the doubt. How often do you close your mind and not give another person the benefit of the doubt? I have seen some really hot, heated debates among people who refuse to give each other the benefit of the doubt. I think each of us wants to always act in the interest of our own best health when we make decisions about our weight loss journey. And it is with that premise that I enter into any discussion with anyone concerning that, because this is such a personal journey and it will be different for each of us. And our goal, especially as TOPS members coming together on a regular basis, is to help each other fulfill the goal of the journey, which is to get to our best possible health and live a long, active, happy life. That is our obligation to each other. And we need to be aware that there are healthcare professionals that are guiding each of us along the way, and that no more than you would be for me, I do not have the knowledge, skill, or expertise to tell you categorically whether your journey is right for you or not. You need to have that discussion with those who are in charge of helping you stay as healthy as you can. My responsibility is to help you in your journey and to try to do no harm and to support you throughout it. The next thing is to always assume that there was a positive intent. This comes into play very often when people take exception to other people's comments. And you'll see it, why did you say that? What were you thinking? That hurt my feelings. Well, yes, you need to say if something hurt your feelings, and the other person needs to acknowledge that, yes, your feelings were hurt. But rather than think of it as a deliberate action designed specifically to hurt you, perhaps it would be good to say, maybe in their own way, they thought they were being helpful. And what I need to do is share with them that their comment was not helpful in my journey. To say, I appreciate that you want to help me, and I know this really worked well for you, but I'm not you. And that doesn't work well for me. Instead, this other way seems to be enhancing my ability to continue toward my goals better than the approach you took. I thank you, and I appreciate the encouragement you always give me, because that's the thing that helps me the very most. But doing it your way may not be the right way for me. I think we just need to look sometimes at how we approach things, because my way certainly isn't the only way, and your way certainly isn't the only way. As we used to say when we were playing as kids, there are lots of ways to skin a cat. And that I can still remember hanging upside down on a bar, skinning a cat, and thinking, I can't think of another way but the way I'm doing. And then I would watch somebody else and they would go through the motions entirely differently. And I think, oh, well, yeah, that's another way. I guess I could try that. Also, when negative thoughts do occur, notice them and then set them aside. And that takes a little bit of work, because, if we're sitting and we're watching, it's so hard not to say, well, they really shouldn't be doing that. Or, well, if it were me, I would do it this way. I wouldn't do it that way. It's just hard not to let those negative thoughts sneak into evaluating when you're trying so hard to help. But that's part of being non-judgmental, is to just assess the situation as it is, and if asked, offer some advice, not in a way that's authoritarian, but that is open for discussion. We can always say, I feel that, or this seemed to work well for me. Perhaps you could think about giving it a try. These are ways to try to be helpful without saying, well, why'd you do it that way? Anybody could have seen that wasn't going to work. Well, that's really not helpful, and it puts everybody off. And once a person quits listening, once they turn off to you, it's really, really hard to be able to be of help. The last thing is what I have said many times in many situations when we've shared thoughts together on a Monday morning, is intentionally refocus on listening for clarity, for understanding, and for the value of the content of the words being spoken. And this very often has to be done almost moment to moment, to say to yourself, don't go down that path, Barbara. That's not what this person is saying. Open your ears, open your mind, hear what is being said, feel what is being shared, and respond with kindness and compassion without judgment. That's a huge challenge, but it's one I think all of us will benefit from if we work at it when we communicate. If I say to you, I'm struggling right now, I want to engage in a discussion with you to help me understand myself. You can offer many, many wonderful points that work well for you. But please don't put down my efforts categorically. Instead, help me examine what I'm doing so I can grow and find a path that will serve me better. I know with all of us, when we run into obstacles, and that's part of the journey, we need to give ourselves the time and the grace to reevaluate, to figure out exactly how we need to readjust. And we need each other to support that, to not be judgmental and say, well, it's obvious to me if you just did it this way, you wouldn't be having this trouble. That's not helpful. That's being extremely judgmental. Uh, and it very often hurts a person. It very often turns a person off or defeats a person. And makes them feel, well, what's the use? I just cannot do this. I don't have the skills, the techniques, the knowledge, the stamina, whatever. So the message for today is this week is about being non-judgmental for me. I'm going to focus more on listening better, and that perspective will pay, I know, great dividends for me. There's a saying in the South about always being gracious, and I think that being non-judgmental is definitely a way of being gracious to someone else. If you choose to treat other people with respect and courteously listen to what they have to say, they will return the favor to you. And the chances of both of you succeeding and benefiting from helping each other will be quadrupled just because you are gracious and pay attention with an open mind, looking for a way to help each other grow and go in the path that you have designated as the one that you want to pursue for the rest of your life. And hopefully that's going to be a long, healthy, happy life. As we conclude today, I want to share with you some exciting news that will be coming up in our group very soon. Several people have been asking, and I'm proud to say that Dr. Nick has time in his schedule that he will be returning to visit with us very soon, and the information will be shared within the next day or two with all of us. I always look forward to a chat with him, and that will be in October. In November, we will also have another individual, and I'm not going to tell you now, I'm just going to do little teasers, who will be sharing thoughts with you. And then in December, we will also have someone else who will be doing a group meeting with Rick and I hosting it. All of these meetings, and we'll have time to talk with each other about these issues. One a month, hopefully, the rest of this year. It's a great way to start off the fall season, and I hope you'll be looking forward to it as much as I am. Also, I will be reaching out here within the next few days to ask a few of our participants in our Empowering Each Other group to join me for a conversation with everyone. We didn't do that in September. Life just got way too busy. And I have quite a list of folks that I would really like to spend some time with, chatting about lessons they have learned along the way as well. It's going to be a great week here in West Virginia. I'm going to uh, go out and buy some mums today, I think. I've got some mums in the backyard that are blooming greatly, but I always like to buy a few others every year in hopes that they will survive the winter, and I will build my perennial garden with more of those lovely flowers. And I'm going over to Chapter to weigh in, and thanks to my friend Sandra's wonderful care of me while I was on holiday, I'm really confident that I'm going to have a weight loss, and I'm excited to report that to Rick and let him know how everything went. Thank you for that too, Sandra. Y'all have a great day. The sun is shining here. Uh, the leaves are just beginning to turn a little bit, and fall is my favorite season of all. So I'm going to get out and make hay while the sun shines. Talk to you later. Bye bye.